Good morning all. Myself, Mr. P. Balakrishna, Assistant Professor, Department of ECE, Vignan Srila. Last class, we discussed about different types of integrated circuits as well as characteristics of op-amps. There, we discussed nearly 18 characteristics of op-amps. They are input offset voltage, input bias current, input offset current, gain bandwidth product, okay, and then we discussed input equivalent input resistance, output offset voltage, sleeve rate, okay, like that we discussed 18 important characteristics of op-amp. Today's class we are going to discuss about ideal op-amp. Why we require this ideal op-amp is while you are going to construct any op-amp for the application, you have to consider the features of ideal op-amp. Suppose if you want to design an adder op-amp, or if you want to design a subtractor op-amp, or if you want to design an integrator op-amp, whatever it may be, you have to consider the features of ideal op-amp. So ideal op-amp is very important concept for designing of any application of op-amp. Now today I am discussing about characteristics of ideal op-amp. First characteristics of ideal op-amp is an ideal op-amp draws no current at the input terminals of an op-amp. So an op-amp consists of two input terminals. So one is inverting input terminal and the other one is non-inverting input terminal. So the current passing through the input terminals of an op-amp is I1 and I2. Those two currents are passing through the base terminals of the op-amp, which is nothing but the input terminals of an op-amp. For an ideal op-amp, I1 is equal to I2 is equal to 0. That means op-amp draws no current at the input terminals of an op-amp. We all know that V is equal to IR. So for the input voltage, VI is equal to II into RI. So here I want to measure RI. So what happened? VI divided by II is equal to RI. If the input current is 0, something by 0 will be equal to infinity. That indicates the input resistance of an op-amp or an input impedance of an ideal op-amp will be equal to infinity. While you are going to construct any op-amp for the application, most of the op-amps are 99.99% of the op-amps, every op-amp should require high input impedance, and this is the basic characteristic which we have to assume which we have to consider while we are going to design any op-amp. That is the first basic important point. Now second one is the gain of an ideal op-amp should be equal to infinity. We all know that V0 is equal to A0L into Vd. So A0L is equal to V0 divided by Vd. What is Vd? Vd is nothing but the difference of input voltages which we are applied at the input terminals. Okay, so Vd is equal to V1 minus V2. So if Vd is equal to 0, then what happened? A0L is equal to V0 by Vd. If V1 minus V2 is equal to 0, something by 0 is equal to infinity. So we will be consider the gain of the ideal op-amp is equal to infinity. While we are going to analyze the very important concept which is nothing but virtual ground concept. For that also we are going to be consider this parameter which is nothing but the gain of the op-amp is infinity. And next third one is the output voltage. V0 is independent of current drawn at the output terminal of an op-amp. So the output voltage is independent of the current. So we can connect in many number of output stages at the output terminal. So not only in a single stage, you may connect several number of stages. That's why op-amp can drive n number of stages at the output side because of the low impedance. Okay, these are the main important characteristics for an ideal op-amp. Now in this slide I am going to explain all the features of the ideal op-amp. While you are going to explain the characteristics of ideal op-amp, first characteristic is open loop gain of an ideal op-amp will be equal to 0. Just now we have seen V0 is equal to A0L into VD. A0L is equal to V0 by VD. If the difference between the two input signals will be equal to 0. Okay, so automatically the open loop gain, which is nothing but infinity. Now input impedance, which is nothing but Ri will be equal to infinity. Just now I told you in the previous slide, Ri is equal to Vi by Ii. The current drawn at the input terminals of an ideal op-amp is equal to 0. Then something by 0 will be equal to infinity. Now output impedance. Why? Because output impedance is equal to 0. This is why, because the output voltage does not depend upon the output current of the op-amp. So output impedance will be equal to 0. Now coming to the bandwidth. The gain of the op-amp will be equal to infinity. So the bandwidth, which is nothing but the range of the frequency over which op-amp works properly, is called as bandwidth. If the gain of the op-amp is infinity, then op-amp gain will be depend upon the frequency. If the gain is infinity from f is equal to 0 to f is equal to infinity, then we will be consider the bandwidth should be also equal to infinity. And for an ideal op-amp, there will be no input offset voltages as well as input bias current as well as input offset currents will be acting on the input terminals. So the offset voltages as well as offset currents of the ideal op-amp will be equal to 0. Next, coming to the CMRR. CMRR is nothing but AD by AC. So obviously if AD will be infinity, then CMRR is directly proportional to AD. So CMRR is also equal to infinity. Now coming to the slew rate. What is slew rate? The rate of change of output, maximum rate of change of output voltage with respect to time is called as slew rate. That is dV0 by dt max will be represented as slew rate. So if there is a small change at the input side, then there will be change in the output side also. That's why we are considering the slew rate of an ideal op-amp should be equal to infinity, and there will be no effect of temperature on the ideal op-amp. We will not consider any temperature effect on the ideal op-amp. Last but not the least is PSRR. What is PSRR? PSRR is nothing but the ratio of change in the input offset voltage with respect to the change in supply voltage, keeping other supply voltage is constant. But just now only I told you the input offset voltage will be equal to 0 for an ideal op-amp. So PSRR is directly proportional to delta VIOS divided by delta VCC. Keep VE is constant. If VIOS is 0, then obviously PSRR is also equal to 0. And this graph is explain the ideal characteristics of an op-amp. This is also called as transverse characteristics of an op-amp, which will be drawn in between input voltage as well as output voltage. So I have taken Vin on the x-axis and I have taken V0 on y-axis. The gain of the op-amp, ideal op-amp is infinity. So even if there is a small change at the input side, immediately your output voltage will goes to saturation level. Why? Because for an open loop op-amp, we are having only two output voltages. One is plus Vsat, another one is minus Vsat. Depending upon the input polarity, your output may be plus Vsat or minus Vsat. So even if there is a small change, because of the noise also at the input terminals of an op-amp for an ideal op-amp, immediately your output will goes to saturation voltages, and this is the ideal voltage transfer curve. Next, coming to the practical voltage transfer curve. What is the difference between ideal voltage transfer curve and the practical voltage transfer curve is, for an ideal op-amp the gain will be infinity, but whereas for the practical op-amp the gain is not infinity. So if the gain is not infinity, so for a certain range of input frequency, input voltages, the output is varied linearly. In the graph also we have shown you that the range is linear range from plus Vsat to minus Vsat until that particular range. That means if the difference voltage is not greater than positive side as well as if it is not greater than negative side, then until that the output voltage is linear. Once it crosses those input voltages, that is difference of input voltages, immediately the output will goes to the saturation levels. Next, coming to the practical voltage transfer curve explanation. Just now I have given the practical voltage transfer curve explanation, and very important point is why we are not using the open loop op-amp. Okay na? Why we are not using open loop mode of op-amp? Generally op-amp is available in two modes. One is open loop mode and the other one is closed loop mode. The main difference between the open loop mode and the closed loop mode is, for the open loop mode the gain will be very high value, whereas for the closed loop mode the gain will be low value. Because of the gain is high value in the open loop mode, even if there is a small change because of the noise, if there is applied at the input terminals of an op-amp, it will be amplified and produces the output. So you will get the distorted output because of the noise itself. Whereas coming to the closed loop op-amp, the gain will be less and there is a particular linear range for that closed loop op-amp. Until that range, if the range of the linear range, the noise voltage is less than that linear range, then we will not get any output. So, or we may not get any distorted output. That's why we are always using most of the cases, not always, most of the times we are going to be using op-amp in closed loop configuration rather than the open loop configuration. Now, characteristics of op-amp. Very important one is DC characteristics and AC characteristics. In the DC characteristics, we are having mainly four characteristics. What are they? They are input offset voltage as well as input offset current and input bias current, and last but not the least is thermal drift. In that thermal drift, we have to explain all the DC characteristics. Till now we discuss input offset voltage, input bias current, input offset current is expressed in variations of time, temperature and power supplies. So that will be explained in the thermal drift. And coming to the AC characteristics, we are having two major important AC characteristics are there. They are slew rate as well as frequency response of an op-amp. If you have clearly understand these concepts, then we can know clearly about DC characteristics as well as AC characteristics of op-amp. Now, first I am going to explain the DC characteristics of op-amp. In that DC characteristics of op-amp, first I want to tell you input offset voltage. The input offset voltage is nothing but the difference of the DC voltages which we have to apply at the input terminals of an op-amp to make output offset voltage is equal to 0 when both the input terminals are connected to ground, which is nothing but input offset voltage. Generally, we will be represented in the mathematical formula as VIOS is equal to VDC1 minus VDC2. That I explained in the characteristics of op-amp also. And coming to the input bias current, the average of the input currents flowing at the base terminals of an op-amp or input terminals of an op-amp is considered as input bias current. So I bias is equal to IB1 plus IB2 divided by 2, and the next one is input offset current, which is nothing but the when we constructed an op-amp, because of the mismatching of the components, there may be some small amount of the current will be flowing at the base terminals of the op-amp, which is nothing but input terminals of an op-amp. Because of this also we will get the output offset voltage when both the input terminals are connected to ground. So IIOS is equal to modulus of IB1 minus IB2. Generally, in the definition wise, the algebraic difference between the two input currents passing through the two input terminals of an op-amp when both the input terminals are connected to ground, which is nothing but the input offset current. And then next I am going to explain about the thermal drift. In this thermal drift we have to explain the input of you have to explain the DC characteristics in variations with temperature as well as time, and last but not the least is on the supply voltage. First I am going to explain with the help of temperature. So that is called as average temperature coefficient. So the rate of change, first I am expressing the variation of input offset voltage with respect to the temperature. How can we express this? As the average temperature coefficient thermal drift or input offset voltage thermal drift is expressed as, it is nothing but the ratio of rate of change of input offset voltage with respect to the rate of change of temperature, okay, which is called as thermal voltage drift or average temperature input offset voltage drift or average temperature voltage coefficient also, and it will be expressed as microvolts per degrees centigrade. Okay, that is about the input offset voltage drifts. If you have seen the graph of that input offset voltage drift, here I have drawn the input offset voltage drift graph. On x-axis I have taken the temperature, and on y-axis I have taken the variation of input offset voltage. Exactly at room temperature the input offset voltage is equal to 0. If you are increasing the room temperature, then you may get the positive polarity or positive slope curve will be generated, as well as if you decrease the temperature below the room temperature, you will get the negative negative input offset voltages. So the slope of the curve may be positive or negative, that depending upon the temperature variations, whether it may be high temperature value or whether it may be the low temperature value. Next, coming to the input bias current drift, which is nothing but a ratio of rate of change of input bias current with respect to the rate of change of temperature, which is called as input bias current drift. It is expressed in terms of nanoamperes per degree centigrade or picoamperes per degree centigrade. Here I have shown you the graph. In this graph I am explaining it with input of bias current with respect to the temperature. While if you are increasing the temperature, then obviously the input bias current will be decreases. At the low temperature, the input bias current should be a high value. So even if you are increasing the temperature, so obviously when you are increasing the temperature, the input bias current will be decreases. And then next I am going to explain input offset current drift, which is nothing but the ratio of rate of change of input offset current with respect to rate of change of temperature is known as input offset current drift or average offset current drift also. Okay, so if we have seen the graph of that input offset voltage current drift. It will be similar to the input offset voltage drift. If you increase the temperature from room temperature, the graph will be like this, increases. If you decrease from room temperature, the graph will be decreases. Exact at room temperature, the input offset voltage will be, input offset current will be equal to 0. It should be the graph should be looks like input offset voltage drift. And next, effect of time on input offset voltages as well as input offset currents. Till now we discussed about effect of temperature. In the thermal drift, we have to explain with the help of three parameters. One is with the help of temperature, and the other one is with the help of time, and the last but not the least, third one is with the help of supply voltage. Now I am explaining with the help of time. Generally, op-amp is designed with the help of transistors as well as diodes, and all these are semiconductor devices, and the semiconductor devices are varied with respect to time also up to certain extent. Okay, now I am expressing the input offset current as well as input offset voltage with respect to time. So here the input offset current drift is expressed as if the ratio of rate of change of input offset current with respect to the rate of change of time is expressed as input offset current drift, which is expressed as delta IOS divided by delta small t. Why? Because I am representing it as small t is for the temperature I expressed it as capital T. To know the difference between the time and temperature, there I used the capital letter, and here I am using the small letter, and here it will be expressed as nanoamperes or picoamperes per week. Why? Because it is time. Similarly, the input offset voltage drift, it is also expressed as the ratio of rate of change of input offset voltage with respect to rate of change of time is represented as input offset voltage drift. Okay, now the output offset voltage, always the output offset voltage variation is depends upon the input offset voltage as well as input offset current. So delta VOOS divided by delta T is equal to 1 plus RF by R1 into delta VIOS by delta T plus RF into delta IIOS by delta T. Why? Because the output offset voltage is equal to 1 plus RF by R1 into VIOS plus RF into IIOS. If input offset voltage is varying with respect to time and the input offset current is varying with respect to time, then obviously output offset voltage is also varying with respect to time. That's why VOOS is also varying with respect to time. So last but not the least is I am going to explain the variation of parameters, offset parameters with respect to supply voltages. We all know that PSRR. What is PSRR? Which is nothing but power supply rejection ratio, which is also called as power supply sensitivity. How can we express this as, which is nothing but the ratio of rate of change of input offset voltage with respect to the rate of change of one of the supply voltage, keeping other supply voltage as constant. So PSRR is expressed as delta VIOS divided by delta VCC, make VE as constant, which is nothing but variation of offset parameter with respect to the supply voltages. Up to this we have to write about the DC characteristics. First of all, we have to write input offset voltage, next input bias current, and then next input offset current. Later on we have to express the thermal drift. In that thermal drift, these input offset parameters are expressed in terms of average temperature coefficients and average thermal drifts. Okay, so for that thermal drift, I explained the offset parameters are varying with respect to temperature, with respect to time, and with respect to supply voltages. And next, I am going to explain the AC characteristics of an op-amp. Coming to the AC characteristics of an op-amp, here we have to see mainly two things. One is slew rate and the other one is frequency response of an op-amp. So coming to the slew rate, which is nothing but the ratio of maximum rate of change of output voltage with respect to time. So dV naught by dt max will be expressed as slew rate. Generally it will be expressed as S. And slew rate concept is majorly used for the unity gain bandwidths or voltage follower op-amps. So whatever may be the input we are having, we will get the same output. Or voltage follower means the output voltage is followed input voltage. Unity gain bandwidth means V naught is equal to, if we are considered 1 plus Rf by R1 into V in, the gain will be 1 plus Rf by R1. The gain is 1 means you can replace 1 plus Rf by R1 by 1. So V naught is equal to V in. So whenever we are going to consider dV naught by dt, input is varying with respect to time. So I am considering V in is equal to V in is equal to Vm into sin omega t. So obviously V naught is equal to Vm into cos omega t. Yes or no? So dV naught by dt max, we will get V naught into omega. Okay, where omega is equal to 2 pi f. The main thing is why we are calculating this frequency is f is equal to s divided by 2 pi into Vm. Until this maximum frequency, we will get the undistorted output. Once the op-amp is crosses this frequency, then obviously we will get the output as distorted output. Thank you for listening everyone. Next class we will discuss about